एउटा sort of question that, that I want to ask you is, um, especially when we think about Nepali women, right? Traditionally, there's this stereotype of, just accepting what comes to them and so on. And you're definitely not that, right? Even as as you share your stories, childhood and then professionally, funny, right? And I sort of don't like asking women how you do it all and on so on. भनेर तर I do want this fire you always had, right? This drive you always had to hustle and everything, which is so exciting, especially as a Nepali woman. How do you think that has shaped, your career?
I think that's a really good question, and I just want to do justice to that question because it's really important, especially young women now, right? How they perceive our journey and how it actually is.
Right.
So one thing I knew coming from Nepal was that I'm not equipped. There are pictures, there's equity versus equality, but there are pictures.
Exactly.
Equity is like everybody starts in the same page or one of those, right?
Right, the ladder.
Yeah. I came from like really in the bottom. English was a struggle. I mean, of course, I could understand and I could speak, but in order to communicate in a clear, in a crisp way was
right.
Like articulating your thoughts was a process. So I knew, and I also wasn't very, book smart. Like I was always an average. Like I'll just get by. Like I'm not, super smart. So I think one of the realizations that I had early on in my career was that I'm not super smart. I'm decently educated. And the only arsenal I have is hard work. And that's what I'm going to do. That's my arsenal, right? If you like, I always think of it as like, this is very like the grim setting. Just so like, when you go to a war, what do you go with? You go to win. And what you go with is what you take out is your most useful weapon. So for me, most useful weapon was that I can work hard. I can work late nights. I could just do it.
Do the hustle, right?
Right. So that was a thing. And I also didn't come from like a very, and also I think one of the things that really helped me was that there was no safety net for me. Like if I didn't make it that month, I would be homeless. Like that was it. Like I had no friends, no family when I came to US. So I think and also it was a different era. So I think for young women and men now, I think one of the things that I would really say is that पहिला आफू कहाँबाट आएको छु भनेर हेर्नु पर्दो रहेछ. Like के हो त? Like what is your arsenal? What is on your arsenal? Like what can you do, right? So त्यो सोच्नु रहेछ. And then like what are the things that I have it in my arsenal, but I need to sharpen it time to time. What is the skills that you have that you can sort of sharpen it time to time? त्यो सोच्नु पर्ने रहेछ. अनि man, it's hard AF to do it all. Like it really is.
Of course. And we should say that more.
Exactly, man. Like I'm a new mother. I have a 1.5-year-old. The amount of like just the work there, and you're also a mother, right? Like just the work. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard. And more young women like think far out, like for the future. What do you want?
Right.
What kind of career do you want, right? And if you decide to be a mother at some point, how are you going to take care of yourself, your baby, and work? How are you going to do that? So त्यो माइन्डसेटमा म चाहिँ के भयो भने मेरो माइन्डसेट चाहिँ when I came to America, I knew I had to work hard, otherwise I was going to be homeless. Like there was just no other way. There was no other way to do it other than like I had to survive. So त्यो भयो. अनि also, one of the things that I think most women don't talk about enough is how important it is to have a good partner. Right?
Right.
We always talk about, behind every successful man, there's a woman. But behind
it, but the other way. Yeah.
There's also other way. And like not only your partner, right? Your family, like your sasu, your sasura, your support system has to be very, very strong. And I think त्यो कुरा चाहिँ हामीले like, I have a nice boyfriend भन्छौँ तर but then
And you also put it on lucky. Well, I'm lucky I have a good husband. But you don't say you invest time for that.
Exactly. So thinking about it long term, bringing in your best arsenal and establishing the support system. They're gonna be there no matter what. But then having someone who also understands the way you think, the way you sort of, what motivates you, what makes you happy, and how that person can be supportive. I mean, and I will also say that unless men give birth, there is no equality.
Right.
There is no equality. That is something I will say out loud, right?
Right. Of
How do
course.
how do you make the best between two partners?
Exactly.
So two kuraharu. So I think I didn't give you like a clear answer, but I think there's many things. I think you have to understand what your strength is. You have to really, and this is something I always say this, plan gora yaar. Like, what do you want to do? Right? Without a plan, whatever you do today doesn't matter, right? Like it just
And the plan has to be a little realistic, funny, like that you have to, I mean, it can be a crazy dream plan that you have to make sure that there are variables that are going to happen. Life is going to, hit you with very unpredictable things. But you have to, set it in perspective.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like, my goal is not to make $1 billion, right? Like that's like unrealistic goal. But my goal, like, what is my goal? What kind of wife do I want to be? What kind of worker do I want to be? What do I want to pursue after Mozilla? Like, what do I want to do? Right? Like, I'm constantly thinking about this and plan गर्ने हो नि कि एउटा vision चाहिँ हुनु पर्दो रहेछ कि like you can't, life doesn't, you plan and then life happens. But no, you can't have that. But you have to have sort of a long-term vision of like how you want to do things, where you want to be, so that everything you do now builds sort of steps towards your goal. So यो कुरा चाहिँ I think, a lot of us in Nepalma, I remember coming to Cornell, and then I remember in my sort of like second, third, or third semester, I joined this class that basically helps you get a job in consulting. And the consulting question was, how many kids in San Francisco are using phone between 2 to 4 p.m.? I remember this question because that question like opened the floodgates in my mind because like we are not the creative thinking, problem solving, yo kura hamlai
data driven, nothing like that.
Driven, like information derived गर्ने, information process गर्ने, त्यसको hypothesis ल्याउने, त्यो hypothesis बाट all of that thing is not taught to us at all. हाम्रो education system छँदै छैन कि. So I remember thinking like to मान्छेले, yeah, between 2 to 4 p.m. what zip code? Okay, this zip code को स्कुलहरु कतिवटा छ, त्यो स्कुलमा कतिवटा बच्चा छ. Like he just hypothetically built all of this data and then infer like, oh yeah, 1.2 million kids will be doing so and so at this time in San Francisco. And I was, oh my God, यो त मलाई त थाहै रहन्छ, यो सोच्ने त यस्तो important कुरा त मलाई थाहै हुँदैन रहेछ. So just understanding what I don't know, and then थाहा हुने कुरा त थाहा हुन्छ. आज पनि I was in a meeting with my executives, and I said like, look, this is like, I don't know this, I don't know the process, I don't know, like I have a strict process, but then yours is different, I don't know that. So understanding what you don't know and being okay with it.
Right? Yeah, like, minded is so important.
Exactly. Janne palti nahi parदैन के, because we know, like we just know what we know at this moment, and then the next moment that information is going to be old information, right? So really understanding yourself, I think, is super, super important. And then just being ready to work hard, man. Like you this matter, like just working.
Dude, I think just coming here is not the lottery. I think you have to make it. Make it.
Not getting a job is not a lottery. Maintaining it is
right? Exactly.
Getting a job, anybody can get anywhere. Like I don't think it's a problem. But yeah, and I think it's a constant process. Like every day is a process, right? Also understanding your shortfalls. I remember there was a meeting with Lego, and Lego was a big partnership that I managed in my last. I remember setting this meeting up, and then my chora was like, I don't know, like 4 months, 5 months. And I remember not having a babysitter, not having my sasuma. And like, I remember I'm telling my husband, like, you have to be home at this time because I have to. And even if chora is crying, I'm going to just put him in a room and then he's going to self-soothe and I'm going to take this meeting because that is important to me, right? So like understanding that understanding your roles. Like I'm a perfect
your priorities at the moment, right?
And then there are days where I just have to be a super worker. Like I just cannot be a super, and that's okay, right? So just like really understanding that, I think is important. Was that like a long-winded answer?
No, I love this. No. It's completely fine. This is what we want, right? I think, through the podcast, it's funny that this is what we want to showcase, right? That, of course, we look at मान्छेहरूको LinkedIn title in the company and so on, and we have these biases that, their life is, oh, they got lucky, they sort of landed here. There's a lot of work throughout your life and continuing, and that's what we want to showcase, right? And I love that you're sharing these personal stories that which sort of cements that idea, right? So completely fine on that.